And then we know that we're recording in here. We've already got folks filing in, so that clearly tells me that everyone is very, very excited for the content today. Okay, we see some of our team members and some familiar names. Welcome, everyone. We're going to take just a few minutes and let folks get comfortable and enter the room. We'll do a little bit of housekeeping, and then I will turn it over to our lovely presenters. We have a whole great crew today, so it's going to be a lot of opportunity for great conversation for you all, and they're open for questions. So we have 3 brilliant minds. So it's 4:01, and I want to be mindful of all of our presenters' time as well as everyone's time today. So on behalf of the Southeastern School Behavioral Health community, we would like to welcome you all to this month's national webinar. We are thrilled to have with us today Shay Ferguson, Alyssa Ragoiza, and Dr. Matt Irving. They're going to be presenting about some incredible programming and content from the work that they're doing with Harmony SEL within our College of Education here at the University of South Carolina. So before we get started, as many of you all know, we like to make sure that we get an idea of who all we have into the room. So I'm going to go ahead and put up a pre-survey here. And if y'all could go ahead and take a couple minutes, or probably just a minute and a half to complete that pre-survey. It's just 3 questions. For those of us, or for those of you that are joining us live on Facebook, if you have any questions or comments for our presenters today, I will be monitoring the chat there. So please put any of your comments, questions, or just general excitement for the content in the chat, and I will share that with our presenters. So I see that we've got some folks here saying we've got some professors with us today. Welcome, welcome. Mental health professionals, fantastic. Right now, we're about 33% mental health professionals. We've got some district personnel. Let's see here. What else can I glean from this for you all? So it looks like we're kind of in the middle here when it comes to knowledgeability, which means we've got awesome room for growth and comfortability with the topic. Hopefully that will lend itself to some good questions. And then finally here, is it relevant to the field of work? Absolutely it is. So that's super exciting for you all. So I know that Shay is going to be driving for us today when it comes to our slides. So I'm going to go ahead and invite Shay to start sharing those slides, and I will turn it over to our presenters to introduce themselves. If you all have any questions, please type them in the comment box, or if you would like to have a little bit of anonymity, you're more than welcome to type your questions in the Q&A. I will field them to our presenters, and they have graciously also offered for there to be about some time left over at the end of our presentation for questions from you all. Please stick around and make sure that we complete the post survey as well, so that we can ensure that we can get those CEUs to you all. I'm going to go ahead and end the poll and say welcome to all 3 of our presenters. And I'm going to go ahead and turn into an apple and turn it on over to y'all. Thank you so much for being with us today.
Thanks so much, Taylor. Really appreciate that. So my name is Matt Irvin, faculty, educational psychology and research here at the University of South Carolina, leading the SEL program here, the Harmony Online partnership work we're doing with National University. I'm also director of the Child Development Research Center and work with the All4SC initiative we'll be talking about in a minute. I'll turn it over to Alyssa and then Shay to introduce themselves.
So hi, everyone. Thank you so much for coming. I'm Alyssa Ragoiza. I'm a 4th-year doctoral candidate at the University of South Carolina, and I've been working with this SEL initiative as a graduate assistant for almost 2 years now. And now I'll hand it over to Shay.
Hi, everyone. I am Shay Ferguson. I am going into my 2nd year in the Educational Psychology and Research PhD program at the University of South Carolina. And just like Alyssa, I have been working as a graduate assistant on the different SEL initiatives that we have in the college. And I will turn it back over to Dr. Irvin to begin.
All right, thanks, Shay. So today we're going to be talking about some of our work with the Harmony Online evidence-based SEL program, and there are also their Inspire Online to give you a little bit of an idea of what those are, how you might be able to use those, especially within a multi-tier system of support as a tier 1 approach. So agenda, please. So we've already kind of gone through introductions of ourselves, obviously. We'll first tell you a little bit about our organization or enterprise, All for SC here at the university and the College of Ed, and the SEL initiative that we're undertaking with that. I'm sure everyone on here is probably well versed in multi-tier systems of support, but we will provide a brief overview of that. Then Alyssa will talk with us about what Harmony and Inspire are and what they can do, as well as how they may be used in schools. And then we'll talk about where we've aligned some of the Harmony modules to a tier 1 universal screener for SEL. The BESS in particular we use, but this works with many others as well. And you can see how we might want to do that to apply findings from those screeners. And then we'll give some examples of using the Inspire online modules and a little bit of information about how to register for portals, access to the online Harmony and Inspire portal, that is. And then finally, we'll have opportunity for questions and comments. So to tell you a little bit about All for SC and our SEL initiative, All for SC stands for Accelerating Learning and Leadership for South Carolina. And this was a presidential excellence funded project or enterprise here at the university 2-3 years ago. And we developed a partnership with Harmony of National University to really try to develop a social and emotional learning model that involves folks from different sectors working together using the same language to support the SEL development and well-being of youth. And as part of the broader All for SC whole child education strategy, so really trying to more holistically address the academic, social, emotional, mental, physical needs of children and youth. So we're working with All for SC as part of this SEL initiative to really co-develop a statewide strategy for implementation of some evidence-based SEL strategies like Harmony to really support all students, teachers, families, communities, after-school providers, and so forth. So again, briefly, the MTSS overview, as we all probably know, multi-tiers. We have the first tier, or tier 1. We have universal approaches, universal whole school, whole classroom instruction as one approach, and really kind of targeted as targeting kids as a whole within a school setting. Then at tier 2, we have more targeted small group instruction targeted towards kids that might be at risk. And then finally at tier 3, we have very intensive individualized interventions for kids who have developed problems or concerns that need really tailored individualized approaches. So Harmony can often be used at tier 1 within an MTSS system. And often at tier 1, schools do provide prevention approaches and strategies, really trying to increase the social, emotional, behavioral well-being or social, emotional learning of kids. And might use a universal, or whole school, whole classroom curricular program as part of that approach to really develop those skills. Often these can be incorporated or are incorporated also into a PBIS approach. That's a common, especially tier 1 strategy. Again, many of us, I'm sure, know what PBIS is, but to just provide a little context, of course, these are evidence-based, data-based frameworks really aimed at improving student growth in academics, safety and behavior, and really, of course, focus on the positive school culture and expectations. And one example of embedding a SEL within PBIS is really using tailored lessons to help students understand or meet those positive school-wide expectations. So it would be sort of tailored for the kids in that entire school or that entire classroom, so that they're really, learning the skills they need and developing to meet those expectations. And of course, within positive behavior intervention and support systems, positive reinforcement is a big part of those that really rewards behavior that's positive or meets those expectations. So Alyssa?
So now I'll kind of go into a brief overview of what is Harmony and what is Inspire and how we've used them and how they're being used in schools. So Harmony SEL is a social and emotional learning program for pre-K through 6th grade students, accessible online for teachers at no cost at all. This program is comprised of 2 main components, with the everyday practices, also known as strategies, and a curriculum to support direct instruction of SEL skills. So students will learn and practice these SEL competencies either in whole group or small group lessons through games and activities, and can further apply those skills in those everyday practices such as meetup and buddy up and Harmony rules. For daily practices, what's used is called quick connection cards, and these are basically brief discussions and activities that are designed to provide students with opportunities to share, think, collaborate, and have fun together during that meetup and buddy up time. All these cards are easily accessible on the portal, as well as printable for long time use for both students and teachers and parents at home. So next slide, please. So just a quick snapshot of data provided by our national universities Harmony partners. Again, like I said, it's 100% no cost ever to anyone, teachers, schools, parents, and a one-time registration. As you can see, over 11.5 million students across all 50 states and in 20 countries have been using Harmony in very varied ways. 45,000 schools, districts from across the nation are seeing the benefits of implementing Harmony, both at school and at home. And there has been shown to be a 13% academic improvement increase with SEL interventions like Harmony that address CASEL's 5 core competencies to significantly increase students' emotional and academic performance. So now I'll kind of go into what the research says. So skills developed under the umbrella of SEL, such as emotional awareness, goal setting, have yielded positive support for students and their learning, bridging those behavioral interferences. And the importance of the SEL centers around competency building with both short and long-term benefits. So research supports the role of social emotional learning in a student's college and career readiness. So a small investment of time in this area, very important area, especially in this era that we live now, can have meaningful effects on the student's future long time. Social emotional competence does correlate to a student's likelihood of completing college as a young person, and it might make him or her more desirable in the workplace, and that's shown significant links to academic grades and test scores. So now I'll kind of go into a brief overview again of Inspire, which is the professional development side of the SEL programs. So Inspire develops inspirational educators through free on-demand courses and resources designed to support social emotional learning and inspirational instruction in the pre-K through 12th grade classrooms and university settings. So it represents a bold step forward to the current educational environment. You're having the ability to create safe and inspired learning environments where all students can thrive based on the modules, but also it's being expanded nationally to help prepare and retain teacher leaders with the most current and relevant approaches to support inspiring teaching. So in the next slide, I'll kind of discuss a little bit of inspired teaching and learning. So there are 2 pathways, the building teaching practices, which goes over the physical environment of the classroom, backwards planning, annotation as an interactive reading strategy. And then we have the developing SEL capacity pathway. And some examples are building relationships with students, linking identity and achievement through cultural competence, and teaching students empathy. So when we look at inspirational teaching, we usually look for a range of competencies that impact both the teacher and students. So for example, we know that if a teacher reflects on his or her teaching practice, on student engagement, we tend to see that more students are engaged and really interactive in that learning environment, as well as if they are able to create an inclusive and respectful learning environment for their students. We tend to see that the student experiences also can be more healthier and more productive. So now I will kind of discuss how are these programs being used in schools. And from our experiences, like I mentioned, the everyday practices such as Meetup, Buddy Up, and Harmony Goals are used in pre-K through 6th grade classrooms in unique ways, but also in a way that doesn't bombard and burden teachers with more. In contrast, they can be used already in their morning meetings or their discussion in the early year of the goals that they're setting for the classroom. So it's really helpful because it's not one more thing added to a list, but really trying to help them, support them along the way. Then we have the curriculum for the classroom, and all lessons are created around 5 units. So diversity and inclusion, empathy and critical thinking, communication, problem solving, and peer relationships. And then we go on to, we're seeing the resources for pre-K through 12th grade teachers engaging in that inspire professional development. So they're able to reoccurringly build on their teaching practices, but also develop that SEL competency. And we're seeing with Harmony and Inspire, there are pacing plans. So it provides flexible ways to incorporate the Harmony SEL into the classroom. So these daily practices are designed to be used sometimes 3 to 5 times a week, but also it just is really nice because it just depends on how the teacher wants to incorporate it. And it can be taught into one setting or divided over several days in several classrooms to suit the teachers, the educators' schedule. And next slide. So a big thing about Harmony and Inspire is that there's a consistent language among the portals. So in the professional development and in the curriculum that's used in classrooms, all the units are the same. Each grade may band different slightly in the lessons, but each lesson will include goals and objectives, research and relevance, and as we see in Harmony, stories, activities and games, homeschool connections, which is really nice because the material that is learned in the classroom can be transferred and practiced at home. And for example, the homeschool connections in pre-K through 2nd grade, they have short blurbs that can be included on an educator's homepage or homework contract, and in upper grades there are letters that can be printed to send home with the students. So again, it supports student learning and development across grade levels, and it's very nice because students can go and progress through each grade level, but also build on what they have learned in these lessons across the grades. So now, I know it was a brief overview, but now I'll hand it over to Shay to talk about examples of alignment.
Yes, so hi again, everyone. Aligning Harmony lessons or the Inspire modules is a unique way that we have found for our school partners and university educators to see some benefits. In this table, we aim to align specific Harmony lessons by grade level with the 3 areas of risk. Something like this helps teachers to easily access additional learning materials to help support students. Though we use the BESS screener, most screeners have similar scales or measures to the table that we're showing here, aligning internalizing, externalizing, and adaptive risk levels. So that will also be able to apply. This snapshot here is known as the CARE model. Inspire can be used by individual teachers for whom modules are assigned or self-selected. Coaching guides are provided for each module and can support their use with small groups of teachers, PLCs, or other groups to explore and work through collaboratively. Finally, some administrators or professors use the models or the modules as whole group assignments integrated within their courses. Some examples of the Inspire modules, you will see that they range from about 30 to 60 minutes, and they are self-paced, and they give users the ability to dive deeper into teaching practices with interactive lesson structures. So you can see here, one of the different areas they offer is building teaching practices pathway, and then this one specifically that we're highlighting is the learning environment unit. Additionally, you can see that each module will provide a brief list of topics that will be covered in each module. On the left, each user will have the opportunity to see his or her pace and what specific components will be covered in each lesson. So it'll give you a nice overview in the module, and then you can see as you go through the different areas, as well as a final assessment. So how are these programs used at the University of South Carolina? We have incorporated the Inspire modules into 2 of our pre-service courses, EDPY 401 and EDRM 423. Our goals with having these modules used in pre-service courses is to help better prepare teachers before they even get into the classroom, while encouraging skill development. We work directly with each instructor to individualize the alignments based on what modules they see most relevant, as well as how they can include them into their course, whether that be course credit or extra credit. So why are pre-service educators? The reason we have found Inspire great with our pre-service educators is it offers professional development at any level, situated SEL strategies, and it provides a solid foundation for teachers. Teacher preparation programs are monumental for educators in training. So if we can do anything to help support their learning and skill development around SEL before we get in the classroom, we want to do so. We have an example here of a syllabus from one of our pre-service courses at UofSC. The course is EDPY 401, which is Learners and the Diversity of Learning. We mapped out how to align course content with the Inspire modules. By doing this, we are ensuring that SEL can be easily assimilated into the topics that they already focus on. Our team has worked directly with the instructors to individualize the support and make sure they understand the importance of using Inspire directly with their curriculum. So you can see here, one of the topics is going to be moral development, and then we picked out a few different modules that the instructor can then assign. And then additionally, our other pre-service course that I've mentioned is EDRM 423, Introduction to Classroom Assessment. And this was that second course that we have implemented Inspire in. We took that syllabus and selected modules that also align with what is being taught there. So again, you can see the different options that are provided. I actually teach this course and I use this in the past spring. And one of the ones that works really well is when we're talking about measurable goals or looking at standards and taxonomies. There's also a Using Bloom's Taxonomy to Plan Questions Inspire module. So it was really nice to incorporate that in to my class as a homework assignment.
Hey Shay, quick question.
Yeah.
What was the reaction of students? I mean, I know we really substantially sort of increased the number of people enrolling into the system and using it, through this. Did you get any sort of feedback from the students, formal or informal, about their experiences with this?
Yeah, our students really loved it. And Alyssa can also speak to some of this too. We got feedback from all of our different instructors from both pre-service courses, and our students really enjoyed it. They told me specifically, when I brought up the Bloom's taxonomy, that actually really helped them see why it's valuable in the classroom. And it was another way or another avenue for me to give them information that wasn't just me talking or an activity in class. So we got really great feedback that they're short, and they like that they have the assessment at the end because they can save the certificate and then say when they're applying for jobs that they've done these different things.
And I'll jump in real quick. Specific example is one of our instructors had the students do mini debrief reports. So they were able to really give their solid positive or negative feedback. And when she's reading them, she's really seeing that they are making an impact on the students learning, and giving that one more example to kind of show how applicable the modules are to what they're learning in the classroom.
And that's, I think it's, you know, a lot of times what we teach at the university is kind of obscure, abstract, right? I think a lot of these really kind of make implementing some of these ideas very concrete and give some more specifics that they probably wouldn't get from, you know, typical sort of SEL chapter in our textbook, for example. So
Definitely. And the students like learning about social and emotional learning because they're interested in knowing their students and helping their students and building those relationships. So it complements the class really well that they have these modules that have been put together for us to use.
And it's also like a visual representation as to, like you mentioned, Dr. Irvin, instead of just sitting hours on hours trying to read books or articles and try to see the application of the material.
Awesome. So now that we've told you all about Harmony and Inspire, if you would like to create an account, you can go and register and create a free profile for Harmony and Inspire. You'll go to mylearningportal.org. From there, you will see an option that says register and create a free profile. You'll select the orange register now for free button. It's going to ask you some demographic information. And if it asks you how you heard about Harmony and Inspire, please put the University of South Carolina, and then your account is then created. You'll be able to sign in anytime and choose a program. And you can see here, this is what it will look like when you go to log into your portal. You'll fill in your information, and then you can also directly choose if you want to just go into Harmony or Inspire that way. So we would be more than happy to set up a follow-up meeting to discuss how we can best support you with any implementation efforts and continued SEL resources. Please feel free to reach out to us with any questions that you may have. Thank you so much for taking the time to listen to all of our resources today. And we will open it up, I believe now, Taylor, for any questions.
Thank you guys so much. I think it's incredible the work that you're doing in preparing educators to implement in the classroom and getting them excited in very tacit ways about these evidence-based relationship building programs and tools and strategies that are actually user-friendly, boots on the ground content that's very meaningful, right? So I'm going to open up our chat here. And so if any of you all have any questions about the resources or about how to layer these types of supports within your existing MTSS, I think those would be quite valuable questions. I was curious, Alyssa and Shay, what kind of drew you all towards using Harmony and Inspire? What was the kind of the methodology or the thinking behind that?
I've been doing some research now for a while on SEL, and we always want to say it's not just about a program, but how it's implemented, how it's supported, and seeing initial like presentations of Harmony Inspire with our national partners. It really is engaging, but it really also is not that one more thing added to a teacher's plate. They really help us situate it where we're supporting them every step of the way, but also not giving them books on books on books of content that they have to learn themselves and take by themselves, supporting on their own. We really try and be there every step of the way, whether it be technical issues or how to really help the educator, both instructor and in the K-12 classroom, in how it can best fit for their unique classroom, not as a whole, but really individualizing. And I think that's also what gravitated us towards Harmony and Inspire, is that there's so many unique ways that it could be used, and not just giving that one-step book that needs to be followed.
And just to add to what Alyssa was saying, I think one of the most unique and best aspects is Harmony and Inspire both help teachers and students. So it's kind of a twofold program. And the SEL Common Language, which we mentioned earlier, the whole school is going to be talking about the same thing. So when students move from grade to grade, they're going to continue to grow instead of going into second grade and then they hear things, they may be the same things, but totally different. They have to relearn them and you're kind of going backwards instead of forward. So it's an entire school community that you can use the entire time you're there. And like I said, and like Alyssa said, the support that we can offer, it's great, as well as the support we get with the National University Partnership. So I think overall, the Harmony and Inspire platform offers a lot of diversity, but also gives you a way forward, which can be difficult when you're looking for SEL implementation.
And I'll add, Taylor, I mean, one of the things that attracted us at the university to it initially was that it is a CASEL Select, so evidence-based program, right? I mean, there's so many SEL programs, books, curricula out there that don't have much evidence base, where this does. And that also, I think, they've really done a great job and continue to develop this. I mean, in the sort of 2 years we've been partnering with them, they continue to develop how to integrate this into daily practice. And that's put into the online modules. So, a lot of times, like I said, in our courses and such, we may teach abstract ideas and talk about how to apply it, but they really do, I think, a great job of very thoughtfully thinking about how to implement some of these practices, some of these ideas, and then embedding that into manageable bite-sized modules, right? That you don't get overwhelmed and all this extra stuff. And again, I think the flexibility, how you can individualize it, like Alyssa mentioned, I mean, that's a really nice feature for districts. And, with our support, we can actually set up where, a particular grade or the entire school is using this set of modules that best align to their school, their culture, their PBIS system. So it can be really tailored, individualized, and that everybody's sort of working together on the same stuff if they would like that. And it can be, you could set up a group, by grade level, by subject, again, that flexibility, however it would best work for that particular school or district.
I love the individuation of everything and being mindful of not overloading folks and also making it a part of, the community and the culture. So we do have a bunch of questions coming in. So I'm going to do my best to share these with you all and let you guys respond. So our first question says, this is my first time hearing about the program. As a counselor, I would like to reinforce training on SEL. I work with students in the alternative setting where many struggle with SE issues from 6th to 12th grade. Some of our special education students may be at the elementary level. Is this program set up to adapt and support special education students with disabilities and individuals that may be dealing with short attention spans, et cetera? So how does this serve our special education and alternative support students?
So I'll let Alyssa chime in on that one. I know she's much more well-versed in the nuances of all the content on this.
So I was just going to say, I believe so. And I also believe our national partners have reiterated that we have ongoing trainings so that we specialize in unique opportunities to train every individual. So special education, alternative schools, they really do a great job at making sure on our level, we are well adapted to give the correct information, but also give it in unique, individualized ways. I hope I answered that correctly.
All right. So again, going back to that individuation, that's fantastic. And we know that social emotional learning is going to be applicable for all of our kiddos. And, SPED is gen ed, and we want to make sure that all of the program that we're doing is applying to every single one of the students in the communities that we're serving. So our next question is, how seamless are teachers finding the integration of Harmony SEL into their existing classroom syllabi? How easy or tough is it to achieve that integration? That's a great question.
So we trained, the beginning of this partnership was at the peak of COVID. So we started our trainings with schools August of 2020. So that was at the height of confusion, frustration, not knowing what's happening in our classrooms. And we really saw the initial feedback was that it was great, easily accessible, but also their honest opinions were time, frustration, anxiety on their level of just trying to do this digital learning and trying to re-app their whole curriculum. So we saw that their initial feedback was, this content is great, this content is needed, we can easily simulate into our curriculum, but again, it was a process. We were there to guide them, and we were constantly getting feedback on how we could best support them and survey their honest needs and what was difficult for them, to kind of just gauge where they were at and how to best help them without pressuring them, especially in this COVID era.
So it sounds like y'all really approached it with like a layered support, coaching, technical assistance, making sure that the training was there so that that integration was a little bit more seamless. And I think that it's not going to be perfect as we're trying to adapt and change, but it sounds like when these types of supports are layered, and as Dr. Irving was saying, we're building on evidence-based practices, it's enhancing that existing infrastructure that our educators have towards comprehensive SEL across all of our tiers in MTSS.
I can touch a little bit on from the university perspective of implementing it. Our instructors and students really had no issues with implementing any of the modules. And as I showed you all how to log in, we also had created a video. It's about 1 minute long, and it walks them through how to log in, how to create the account, how to find what they need to. And I even had some students in my class this past semester who had already used Harmony and Inspire. So that was pretty cool to see as well. And then they were able to do the modules for me. I offered a few as extra credit, and almost everybody in the class took advantage of it. So I think from the perspective of higher education, it's been implemented really well, seamlessly at UofSC.
Yeah, I've been really surprised how well that's gone. We've had great support from some of our colleagues, fellow faculty, and even graduate student instructors. And I think all have really appreciated this. I think it's taken sort of initiative on our part to help them do that, right? And then there's 70 modules, so a lot to go through. So helping guide them through, okay, here's ones we would suggest based on, our knowledge of the content of those modules, or Alyssa and Shay's better knowledge of the content, and, kind of doing that, so here's some suggested, alignments. And I think they really value that to help guide them.
And I think I'll just touch one more thing. I think just going off Dr. Irvin's point, the map of module alignments that we provided them really sold them in the beginning, because again, it wasn't that one more thing where they have to go through the modules and kind of link it to the topics each week, but we provided them with every map that we thought, but also really wanted to hear their feedback before they even included it in their syllabus.
That voice and choice is incredible, Alyssa. I mean, massive kudos to you and Shay for doing due diligence on the front end to make it as quote unquote seamless as it can be, right? So it's almost like you get to pick from this menu, and it's recommended by individuals who have engaged with it, but then you still have the opportunity to adjust the content that you're going to engage with based off of your individual classroom or building level or district level goals. And I think that's incredible. We've got more, y'all. I think folks are getting pretty excited about the conversation. I do want to share with you all just another kudos. I'm so happy to hear that new teachers are getting exposure to SEL, since it is a part of the South Carolina curriculum. It will be so beneficial in their job and teaching our students in South Carolina. So that's fantastic. Thank you so much for that positive feedback, you all. All right, so we've got so another, I believe this is a question. Yes. All right. I work for UofSC's South Carolina Inclusion Collaborative as our school age inclusion specialist. I typically work with after-school programs and summer camps. Are these resources something that can be applicable to these types of programs?
Yes, 100%. And I apologize in advance for not mentioning this before, but on the portal, there is a curriculum set for after school programs. So besides the in-school time, out-of-school time, home connections, there is a designated link portal tab that it specializes in after school content.
And that was honestly our original sort of intent with this program, to develop the cross-sector out of school, in school approach. So, that was definitely our intent. Of course, COVID hit, like they said, Shay and Alyssa said as we started. So that kind of made it a little difficult. But, where the same after school providers are also going through this curriculum, just like, that the teachers might be, for example, and then together, we're all talking the same language, and maybe kids' SEL needs are being met similarly, both in and after school, for example, so or in summer camp. So definitely. And if you want some more help and guidance and kind of trying to do that, feel free to please reach out to us.
You got an immediate awesome. That is great to know. So hopefully we'll have some folks that are engaging and making sure that when they register that they put University of South Carolina. Alyssa, Shay, I was curious if you could elaborate a little bit on what this might look like in terms of like parent engagement and what that cross section looks like from classroom to home.
So I can start. National University in the beginning conversations really wanted to stress the importance of that transferable knowledge, that learning that goes from the classroom to the home. So they have designated information, resources, lessons that are available for parents to work on with their students. So there's also that parent letter that doesn't just, their students not just taking home this information and trying to discuss it with the parents. The teachers are able to give this letter, give the information on what is Harmony, what's being done in the classroom, but also real, tangible, printable lessons that they can practice at home. And they really did a great job, especially in the COVID digital learning era, with making digital tool guides and 10-day home connection information activities that was really transferable to the home. So parents became teachers, teachers became superhumans like they always are. And it was really fabulous to see that this information was easily accessible for both students and parents at home.
That's fantastic, Alyssa. I think the pivots that folks made during COVID and continue to make is incredible across the board for community support schools and individuals embedded in those schools, serving those communities and each other. All right, so we've got another question here. Introducing new teachers to SEL strategies will definitely be beneficial to their success in cultivating student-teacher relationships. That will in turn support their academic growth. Huge exclamation point. So that was another just kudos to you all. Thank you so much, Dr. Priester, for providing that feedback. All right. So we've got a couple more minutes here, y'all. And I imagine that you may have a couple more questions as we start to wind down and continue our excitement around the work that Shay and Alyssa and Dr. Irving are endeavoring to do, and excitement around Harmony and Inspire. I am going to maybe promote a little bit more of that excitement and remind everyone that we will be having the 2023 Southeastern School Behavioral Health Conference next year, as we do every year in Myrtle Beach. And hopefully we'll be able to have Alyssa and Shay and Dr. Irving with us when we share a little bit more of their findings, feedback from this presentation to reach a large audience. We should have our call for proposals out here in the next couple months. If you want to engage around the Southeastern School Behavioral Health Conference, please get in touch with us. We like to have as many voices and collaborators at the table as possible. In relation to our presentation today, I'm going to go ahead and put up our post survey so that we can get a little bit more feedback from you all on this content. And if we don't have any additional questions, I'm going to go ahead and say a massive, huge, incredible thank you to Dr. Irvin, Alyssa, and Shay for all of your work in this area, for presenting with us today, for offering us your time and your expertise. We hope that we can continue to coordinate, collaborate, and just partner with you all. And we hope to hear back from all of these wonderful individuals and how they connect with you all in your programming. From the post-survey data right now, it looks like folks are very, very pleased with the content from today. So if there are any last kind of messages that you all would like to share, please by all means do so. If not, I will let everyone gently wind down and take back about 15 minutes of their day for self-care.
Thanks so much, Taylor, for having us. Really appreciate the opportunity.
Yes, thank you so much.
Thank you so much to everyone, and we hope to see you and hear from you soon.
Awesome. Lots of thank yous in the chats. Thank you so much for everyone joining us today and connecting your time and energy with this critical course content. We look forward to sharing with you all information in the Southeastern School Behavioral Health newsletter that we will be sending out quarterly now. So you have to keep your eyes out for that. You can always engage with us on social media. Our presentation today will be archived on our YouTube channel. That's 3B for B School Behavioral Health. And then you can also follow us on our Facebook as well as on our Instagram. We update that content regularly along with our Twitter, as well as our website, www.schoolbehavioralhealth.org. Thank you so much again to our lovely presenters. Y'all have a fantastic evening, and we will see you soon.